Today we're talking about something painful. Why do you work harder and harder, but somehow end up with less money in the bank? Don't scroll away. This isn't motivation talk, and I'm not selling you a course. I've done the math for you. You might lose some sleep after watching this, but at least you'll finally know where the problem is. Ready? Let's go. Have you ever felt like you work harder than you did 5 years ago? You got promoted, your resume looks great, but at the end of the month, when you check your bank account, you're more stressed than when you were a fresh graduate? Meet Jake. He's 34, been working in the city for 10 years, and just got promoted to department manager last year. And this is his colleague, Chris. He's 29, been here only 4 years. Same company, same city, pretty much the same salary on paper. Jake leaves home at 7:30 every morning, doesn't get back until after 7 p.m., and he never dares to turn off his phone on weekends. But his savings over the last 3 years? Negative. Chris never works overtime. He leaves at 6 sharp, hits the gym, reads, learns new stuff. 3 years ago, he had maybe 20 grand in his account. Today, his net worth is over 100K. Same workplace, similar education background. One guy is getting drained by time, the other is turning time into assets. The only difference? How they define one single hour. Today, we're going through Jake's real pay stubs and spending receipts from the last 10 years, and we'll expose 6 hidden money traps that almost every working person falls into. No courses, no hype, just cold, hard math. And by the end, you'll see that hard work alone isn't worth much. What matters is the net return on your time. Jake makes $80,000 a year. Sounds decent, right? Above the median for a lot of city workers. But let's calculate his effective hourly wage, the real one. His official hours are 9 to 5, but he lives in the suburbs. Commute is 50 minutes each way. So he leaves at 7:20 a.m. and gets home at 6:40 p.m. On paper, 80K divided by 52 weeks divided by 40 hours equals $38.50 an hour. Not bad. But here's what Jake has to pay just to keep this job every single month. Rent, about $1,200. Gas and parking, $350. One takeout coffee every day, $150. Extra takeout costs versus cooking, $400. Work clothes and dry cleaning, $200. So let's deduct all that. $80K gross. After income tax and social security and health insurance, he takes home about $64K. Subtract all those work-related costs, and he's left with roughly $35,000 a year of truly disposable income. But we're not done. Jake isn't just working 8 hours a day. He's occupied from the moment he steps out the door to the moment he gets back. That's 11.5 hours. Plus another half hour of anxious thoughts at home. Call it 12 hours a day. That gives Jake a real disposable hourly wage of about $11 an hour. Yeah, you heard that right. A guy making 80 grand a year, his real spending power per hour is barely above minimum wage in many countries. Now look at Chris. He lives in a smaller downtown apartment, pays $400 more in rent, but his commute is only 15 minutes. Same 80K salary, higher rent, but he cooks his own meals. His real disposable hourly wage? Closer to $22 an hour. Same company, same job grade, double the real hourly wage. That's the one variable we're talking about today, your time's net yield. Rich people look at their 24 hours as capital. They calculate ROI on every hour. Most people look at time as just something to spend, and when it's gone, it's gone. Over the next 10 years, Jake walks right into 6 of these wage traps, and they turn that $11 real wage into a negative number. Black hole 1, inflation, silent robbery. 10 years ago, Jake started at $52K. Back then, a one-bedroom in the city was under $900. A fast food meal was $7. His real disposable hourly wage back then, about $10 an hour. Fast forward 10 years, he now makes $80K. That's a 50% raise. Sounds great, right? But that same fast food meal is now $12. Rent is $1,200. Over the last few years, we've seen the highest inflation in decades. Even if the average is 2 to 3% per year, it compounds. Use the rule of 72. At 3% inflation, your purchasing power halves in 24 years. The spikes we just had already ate up most of Jake's raises. Jake's salary went up 50%. His living costs went up nearly 60%. He worked his butt off to get promoted, but his buying power actually fell. He's running faster, but the track is moving backward. That's the Red Queen effect for the modern middle class. You have to sprint just to stay in the same place. Black hole 2. Work's invisible consumption tax. When Jake got promoted, his responsibilities grew. He used to drive an old beater. Now he has to show up for client meetings. So he got a newer car, $450 a month payment. He used to pack lunch. Now he's too busy. So it's takeout every day. He used to wear budget brands, now he needs a few decent business casual outfits. We call this the invisible consumption tax of having a job. A lot of people don't realize a higher salary often comes with a much higher cost of maintaining that job. When you make $50K, your work-related costs might be $6K. When you make $80K, they can easily jump to $18K. Your marginal cost goes up, but your marginal after-tax gain goes down. Jake's extra $28K after tax, that's about $20K in his pocket. But to support that new role, he had to spend an extra $12K. His real hourly wage went from $10 to 11 inches, 10 years. It moved one lousy dollar. Black hole 3. The tax system penalizes labor. Hold on, I need to jump in here. This is the most important chart in the whole video. Watch closely. In most developed countries, here's how the tax system works. Income from labor gets taxed at a higher rate, and you pay Social Security and health contributions on it. Income from capital gets taxed at a lower rate, and you pay zero Social Security on it. Jake works a full year and makes $80K. After income tax and Social Security and health insurance, he takes home about $64K. His total tax and contribution rate is about 18%. But his boss, a company shareholder, makes money from long-term capital gains and dividends. In most developed countries, the tax rate on this type of income is only about 15%, and you don't pay a single cent in Social Security or health contributions. The boss sells stocks and makes $100K, he keeps $85K, Jake works for $80K, he keeps $64K. Same effort. In fact, the boss works less, but the after-tax gap is huge. It's not that Jake isn't trying hard enough, it's that the rules of the game are rigged. Labor gets taxed heavily, capital gets treated gently. That's why working a job will never ever outrun capital. Black hole 4. Student loans and mortgage. Double strangulation. This is Jake's heaviest burden. In many countries, higher education comes with a price tag. Jake graduated with $42K in student debt. He still owes about $28K. His monthly payment, about $500. At 30, he finally bought a place in the suburbs. Today's interest rates are around 6 to 7%. Monthly mortgage plus property tax nearly $2,200. Let's add up his fixed monthly obligations. Student loan, $500. Mortgage plus tax, $2,200. Car loan, $450. Minimum credit card payment, $200. That's $3,350 a month in mandatory debt payments. Jake takes home about $5,200 a month after tax. That means 64% of his paycheck is already spoken for before he even sees it. Chris didn't buy a house, and he had no student debt. He put the money he saved into a broad market index fund, long-term average return, 8 to 10%. Jake's debt costs him over 7%, while the return on his own labor, his salary growth, has been nearly zero for the last 3 years. He's using his depreciating time to pay off appreciating debt. Debt isn't inherently bad, but when the interest on your labor can't beat the interest on your loans, that's how you go backward. Black hole 5, the linear time trap. This is Jake's most fatal flaw. His income model is linear. He does one project, he gets paid once. He does 3 extra projects, his boss notices, and gives him a $2,000 bonus. Now Chris spent 40 hours after work building a digital template and put it up for sale online. That was 4 years ago. Today, it still brings in about $300 a month in passive income. Jake treats time as a consumable. Use it up and it's gone. He has to sell tomorrow's time to make tomorrow's money. Rich people treat time as capital. They invest it in building systems or assets that work for them while they sleep. Over 10 years, Jake's total working hours, 50 weeks times 60 hours per week times 10 years equals 30,000 hours. His total after-tax earnings, about $550K. That's an average lifetime return of 18.3 an hour. Chris, on the other hand, spent 40 hours after work making that digital product. Over 4 years, it's made him $14,400. That's $360 an hour for those 40 hours. The gap isn't about who works harder during office hours. It's about whether your time gets replicated after hours. Black Hole 6, the death spiral of health capital. Last one, the most hidden and the most deadly. Jake is 34. He has lower back issues, chronic stomach problems, mild anxiety. His real hourly wage is only $11, but every month he spends $200 on physiotherapy, $150 on therapy. He missed 2 promotions because he was too drained to perform. He loses about $1,500 a year in income due to sick days. Your body is your biggest production asset. Jake's asset is depreciating too fast. After 30, your repair rate can't keep up with your burn rate. His total working asset is shrinking. Chris works out every day, has tons of energy. He gets more done in 4 hours than Jake does in 8. His boss gives him the core projects because Chris is reliable and never calls in sick. High-energy people have higher effective hourly wages. And when your hourly wage is high, you don't need to trade as many hours for money, which means you have more time to stay healthy. That's a virtuous cycle. Jake is in a vicious cycle. Poorer, busier, sicker, less efficient, even poorer. After that 10th year medical check, Jake finally had an epiphany. He used to ask, "How can I make more money?" He never asked, "How can I make each hour of myself more valuable?" He listed 3 new rules. Rule 1, cut every negative hourly wage expense. He moved closer to the office. Rent went up $400, but he saved 1.5 hours of commute every day. That extra time, he used to learn new skills. 3 months later, he doubled his productivity with new tools. His real disposable hourly wage jumped from 11 to 16. Rule 2, invest saved time into replicable assets. He used his extra commute-free hours to build an industry data template and put it online. Priced at $29, sells about 40 copies a month. It took him only 30 hours to make, and it became his first-time compounding machine. Rule 3, use leverage, not debt leverage, but skill leverage. He joined a tech startup that offered stock options. His base salary dropped 5%, but now he's building equity and industry connections. He's using the company's resources to accumulate capital, not just a paycheck. All right, that's Jake's story. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not saying hard work is useless. I'm just asking you to stop and calculate your own real disposable hourly wage. If your number is 10, 12, 15 bucks an hour, don't panic. That's where most working people are. But you need to accept one truth. The way you're working right now will keep you alive, but it will never make you rich. The path to wealth isn't about running faster on the same track. It's about switching to a track that has compound interest. Out of the 6 mechanisms we talked about, rent optimization, side project assets, time replication, health investment, you can start those today. Equity options and large-scale asset allocation, those need some savings first, so hold off. Next up, rent versus buy, the ultimate math, and it works in any city. The answer might flip everything you thought you knew. Don't miss it. See you next time.